Before you pack your bags and quit your job to move abroad, this is the video you'll want to watch. Now, there's a lot of content out there that might try to sell you on the dream of living abroad. But today, I'm going to be talking about the realities that come with making that move. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Ariana, and I'm a full time nomad, inspiring others to see the world and helping women of color earn, plan, and thrive abroad. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the side of moving abroad that we don't always see when it comes to the highlight reels on social media. While there are a lot of perks to living abroad, as someone who has lived abroad and stayed abroad for years now, everything that has highs comes with its lows. And I'd be amiss to tell you guys all the good things about living abroad, living here in Vietnam, living in other places that I've been, and not share some of the realities, some of the sides of travel that aren't always as positive as what might be out there. I'll also be sharing tips along with this for ways that you can navigate these situations and even avoid them when you are planning your move abroad. So the other day, I came across this post on Facebook, and I'll go ahead and pop it up here and read through it for context. I just made it 4 months in Thailand. My first time out of the country, and Thailand was my expat location for a better life with my child. If I was to say I wasn't miserable, I would be lying. I paid 9 months upfront for rent. Me and my child live on the outskirts of Bangkok. We don't enjoy the heat, the travel, and honestly, we were bamboozled thinking we would find a community out here. We go weeks without seeing any other Black people. My son has to do online school because schools are expensive, and him making friends is non existent. Don't even get me started regarding the language barrier. Been trying to learn. I was under the impression that moving abroad is supposed to relieve stress and give people a sense of purpose, but I would be lying to say I hate everything about living abroad. That makes me so sad to read. I like the cheapness of Bangkok, but outside of that, it's like I can't vibe or find my motion. I'm trying to stick out the rest of my savings and lease, but I'm growing depressed every other day. Whew. There's a lot to break down here, but I when I saw this post, I it really resonated with me because I know that this person is not the only one who has made the move and has had feelings like this. And to be honest with you, there's places that I've been, maybe not to this extreme, but I've felt those lows. Like you kind of feel as if you've picked a place and it's all wrong. Like it's just not a fit. And unfortunately for this person, she feels as if she doesn't have any options. I'm assuming it's a woman. It doesn't say here or there, but I'm assuming it's a woman. It doesn't really seem like she doesn't feel as if she has any options to leave. She kind of feels stuck. And so, yeah, I thought this would be a good one to talk about, especially on the topic of de romanticizing the idea of moving abroad, because truthfully, it's not a move that everyone should necessarily make. For some people, it is better to just travel occasionally, but at the core of who they are and how their lifestyle and personality and their preferences are, it's a better fit for them to be where home is for them, where they were born, and to maybe vacation. Because I'm all for seeing the world, I'm all for traveling, but not everyone necessarily needs to move and live outside of their native country. So, all that being said, there is no shade or judgment towards this person. I honestly think they are extremely courageous and brave for taking a chance, for making that move, because you have a lot of people who always dream of doing something like this and never actually do it. So, kudos to them for even giving it a try. But I do think when doing something as big as uprooting your life and trying to live somewhere else, immigrate into another country or place, there are some things that are helpful to do in preparation to moving and also when you get there in order to make the move abroad a lot smoother and hopefully more enjoyable. So, one of the things in this post that really stood out to me was the fact that this was this person's first time ever being outside of the country, and they automatically signed a 9 month lease.
What?
That's a risk. That's a risk I don't think I would ever take. That's a big leap to go from literally 0 to 60. This is why I'm such a big advocate for being a nomad, is because you kind of get to try on countries or try on different cities. Even if she was 100% sold and just knew Thailand was the place for her, and maybe she had visited before, if she had vacationed to Thailand before, I would highly recommend her going to a few different cities, right? Like trying out Bangkok, trying out maybe Phuket, trying out Chiang Mai. There's so many other countries in Thailand that could be even more of a fit for her and her lifestyle and her son. So maybe a month in each city, a month in different cities to try it out. Being a nomad does give you that flexibility to try different places. It also puts you in a different mindset. I think when you are visiting somewhere and you know that you are there to give it a try, not there to make a permanent move or to try and set up your life immediately in that destination, and B, you know that it's for a given amount of time, right? It almost like shifts your mind into looking at the destination a little bit differently. For example, let's say when she got to Thailand, she mentioned something about the heat, right? So can't stand the heat. It's a weekend and she's just like, wow, this heat really sucks. And I know I have to be here for 9 months. Like, I don't think I can do it. I am miserable. I hate it here, right? Like, I think your mind immediately jumps to I hate it here versus it being like, okay, I'm here for a month. This heat it's been heating for the last week. I'm gonna give it the next 3 weeks and see how it is. But I'm noting this down about this destination, and it may or may not be a fit for me given how hot it is. And if it keeps up this way, I don't know if I could do this long term. Right. So, or knowing that you're in a destination for only a set amount of time, it can help to make even the uncomfortable situations a little bit more pleasant because you know that you're not having to endure it for a really long, extended, or undetermined amount of time. Hopefully that makes sense. So, as a nomad, you do get to try things on. It's not as much pressure to get it right the first time, and it gives you flexibility. It also really helps out with visa options. I'm not certain what this lady's situation is with her visa there in Thailand. It doesn't mention anything about her working, but Thailand doesn't allow you to stay for longer than 3 months, I believe, on the tourist visa. And recently they have been really cutting down on how long visitors can stay there. People have been getting kicked out the country. Like they're really getting strict on um, tourists visiting and not being on the right type of visa. So traveling nomadically and being in places for a shorter amount of time, you kind of can avoid having to really think about visa specifics, because usually you're staying there for like 3 months or less, and a lot of countries allow U.S. passport holders to stay up to 90 days. So it just works out. Another option would be to do scouting trips. So the great thing about moving abroad is that you can design it to fit whatever works best for you. So going somewhere for, like I said, 3 weeks, a month at a time, filling it out, and then returning home to kind of weigh the pros and cons and see if it is worth it for you to make the move. I think scouting trips are helpful because you are staying a little bit longer than you normally would for vacation. And as long as you're intentional about doing things that you would normally do in your everyday lifestyle, so experiencing what it's like to get groceries, really assessing how the language barrier is for you if you're in a country where English is not the main language spoken, trying to go out and make friends, finding community, things like that. You do have to be intentional on your scouting trip, but by doing that, you'll be able to kind of get a taste of what it would really be like to live there for a longer period of time. Another thing that stood out to me about this post was when she mentioned that Thailand was her expat location for a better life. I just think that statement is so heavy. Like you can tell when she wrote this post that she had put all her eggs into Thailand. And y'all know how I feel about putting all your eggs anywhere for anything. But yeah, social media can be a big one to blame in this case because it shares all the highlights. When you're looking on YouTube, when you're looking on TikTok, when you're looking on Instagram, you're seeing people share their experiences in these places and they have nothing but great things to say about them. Not necessarily because the place has been oh so great for them the entire time they've been there, but because that's what goes viral. Like that's what gets likes, that's what trends. So you're only going to see the highlight reels on social media, and it's really important when you are looking at a destination, especially when you're looking to make a move such as this one where you know you'll be there for an extended period of time. You want to do deep research. You want to get into the Reddit threads. You want to find people that are living abroad and send them the you want to find people that are living abroad and send them a message directly, asking them about their experience, asking them about details such as finding community there or figuring out schooling for kids if that applies to you. So it does take some extra effort when looking into a destination beyond just going off of what you see on social media. Another tip that I would recommend would be to look for negative reviews on purpose. This does sound kind of backwards, but I really do this for a lot of things, including like going to like a restaurant or something like that. I will specifically filter for things with 1 star or look for the worst reviews out there because I feel like it's similar to like finding your person, right? They say if you are willing to marry someone at their worst, or like if you're willing to be with a person, you know, in their worst, not how you imagine it to be the best, but you're getting the worst of the worst and you're like, okay, I can deal with this, then you know that it's something that could be a fit for you, right? It's a better chance, a higher chance that it would be a fit for you versus only going off of like seeing everything that's good and you're like, oh, I love this, but you're not seeing what the negatives are. We all have our preferences and our deal breakers. And by looking at what people have disliked, like what is non negotiables for them or was so bad that they would rate it the worst, that will tell you whether or not it is one of your deal breakers or if it's just something that might annoy someone else, but it's something that you can tolerate or put up with. So I like to do that when I go to restaurants. Like it's one thing if you see a 1 star review and it's because someone, you know, had a bad service experience with one of the waiters. To me, that is something I'm willing to work with and I'm still willing to try out that restaurant because people have bad days all the time or, you know, employees get fired all the time. So who's to say that that waiter is even still working at that restaurant? Versus someone leaving a negative review or there being multiple negative reviews on like food poisoning, the food being undercooked, finding hair in the food. Those are the deal breakers for me. I'm not even going to try that restaurant because those are non-negotiables. Like it's not worth the risk. Get it? You get me? You get me? Yeah. Another thing that this person wrote in their post is that they live on the outskirts of Bangkok. And then, of course, she mentioned not enjoying the heat and schools being expensive. This is where it's really important to consider your individual needs, your lifestyle needs, things that are a fit for you personally when picking a place. As someone not knowing the full details of the situation, to me, it sounds like she prioritized affordability over something that was a good fit for her because I imagine that places outside of the main city of Bangkok are a little bit more affordable than center city. Um, and that's just I wouldn't recommend doing that. Again, not knowing the full details of how she decided to pick where she lived. But that is really something important to consider. Being on the outskirts of a city and it's your first time living outside the country, and if this person happens to be someone coming from another city, right? Like if they've grown up in a city all their life, that's a huge change. And when you're already doing something like moving abroad, moving to this foreign place where you don't speak the language, where you don't know anything about the country really in terms of like what it is as a living experience, highly would not recommend going to anybody's outskirts. Like, absolutely not. And this really does tie into the ways that I help women of color build a fulfilling and sustainable life abroad. It's about looking at the fuller picture and really coming up with a strategic plan to make your move in a way that's a good fit for you. So, if you're seeking guidance on building a remote career path and earning online, or just need a clear strategy for how you can move abroad and achieve that fulfillment and freedom that you desire, be sure to check out the link in the description and book a clarity call with me. Another thing that this woman wrote that really stood out to me was that moving abroad relieves stress and gives people a sense of purpose. This really drives home my point of the importance of de-romanticizing moving abroad, because that's really what is being conveyed here. Moving abroad is not an escape plan. There's this saying that wherever you go, there you are. And essentially, it's just saying that whatever you are dealing with internally, emotionally, like any struggles that you have, anything that you are battling with at home, it's going to follow you abroad. It may not show up immediately because there will always be the honeymoon phase. And when you move somewhere new, it's exciting. And yeah, you're naturally just going to feel joy and fulfillment just from being in a new environment. But eventually things settle and you're back to you. So if there are things that you struggle with, such as finding your purpose or knowing what makes you happy, right? Finding joy in everyday life, or maybe you're a workaholic, right? And even though you might leave the States and leave behind a job, for some reason you still cannot figure out how to sit still, right? You're still finding things to keep you busy and you're still not prioritizing rest in the way that you desire or should be. These are things that don't just automatically change just because you change your environment. And it's really important to know this before making the move abroad, if for nothing else, to be able to level set your expectations. Knowing that you can't outrun any type of inner work that has to be done just helps to set you up for less disappointment in the end, right? You can move abroad knowing that you still may have to do some work, but at least you'll be in a place that might be more enjoyable, or an environment that might be more conducive to being able to do the work that needs to be done. Okay, and my last point that I want to make from this post is when she wrote, no community and difficult environment for her son to make friends in. And a big part of the struggle with no community, I'm sure, is because she lives on the outskirts. Like, doesn't matter where you are in the world, if you're out on the countryside, there's bound to be less people than there would in a city, just because that's how it works. So I'm sure that probably does contribute to why it might be hard for her to find people that she can connect with. It's also a lower chance of there being people that speak English. So there's a language barrier to navigate as well. And additionally, for anyone in the situation where they are looking to move abroad, I would advise you to find community before you make the move. With the internet, there are endless ways to go about doing this. And it's vital. It's vital to your move because, again, you're moving to a place where you don't know anyone. The language may not be one that you're accustomed to speaking to. There's new cultures. It's just a lot of newness. And so you can literally feel like a fish out of water when you don't have people around you that you can connect with or feel that you can lean on. And that can really make the move a lot harder than it has to be. Finding community and making friends abroad requires just as much, if not more, work than it does in your home country. I know as adults, sometimes making friends can seem even more challenging because we don't have a school environment or like sports teams that we're on where we can connect with people in the way that we did when we were younger. So just keep that in mind when thinking about going somewhere, moving abroad, and trying to find community there. It's going to take that same effort of really thinking outside the box and figuring out where you can go to find people and make these connections. So, some ways that I have done this while traveling abroad have been Facebook groups. Yes. And I'll just go ahead and plug the Melanated Nomad community here. If you have not joined us over on Facebook already, this is your sign to do so, especially if you're looking at going to move abroad, but also if you're just interested in the nomad lifestyle It really helps to be around like-minded community, other nomads of color who are out here living abroad or looking to make the move soon. We literally have had people who have joined the group not even a month or two ago. And when I met them, they were telling me how they were interested in moving abroad but hadn't quite made plans yet. And now they have solidified their dates, they have plane tickets bought, and they are making their moves later this year. So if you are really looking to connect with like-minded community and really want that inspiration and motivation to make the move, highly recommend it. Check out the description box and come join us over at the Melanated Nomad Network. In addition to my group, there are also a plethora of other groups on Facebook where you can plug in and really connect with other people who are living abroad, specifically in the destinations that you're interested in. So I recommend just doing a general search on Facebook, looking for expats in whatever your destination is, or nomads abroad, or foreigners abroad. You can even get more specific and look for like Black women in Colombia. That's literally a group that I have been a part of, and it has been very resourceful. And one of the ways that I connected with a lot of the community that I made when I was living in Colombia. So, those are just a few ideas of how you can tap into community even before you make the move abroad, which I highly recommend doing. And once you're plugged into these Facebook groups, a lot of them have WhatsApp communities as well. And this is usually most helpful when you're actually in the destination, because if there are different events going on and people doing meetups and connecting to do coffee, to do like, I know that I've seen like running groups and just different events going on. This is when you can really like meet up and get to see people in person. You'll want to get plugged in with those WhatsApp groups, and usually you'll find them directly through the Facebook groups. A lot of them are connected that way. Or when you get to a place and um, yeah, just meeting people casually, sometimes they'll let you know about WhatsApp groups. So you do have to do a little bit. So, so you do have to do a little bit of digging to get into the WhatsApp groups, but they are the primary ways of really connecting with people in person. Another way to find communities, YouTube is a great way to do that. A lot of people who have communities also have YouTube channels. So as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about the Exodus Summit. There's Rashida Dow and Stephanie Perry who lead that, and they also have a community for women moving and living abroad as well. Another YouTuber who comes to mind is Glow Atemo. She also has her own community, and her community is for women moving abroad as well as those interested in entrepreneurship or specifically moving to Thailand. And then you could also follow Shar Winter. She is the owner and creator of the Expat app, which is another great place to find people who are living abroad and connect with community as well. Other ways that you can tap into community, similar to the way that you would tap into community back at home, using Eventbrite or the Meetups app, looking for events local to your area. So it doesn't, these apps do work outside of the States. All you have to do is change your location and you can find different events that are going on that are similar to things that you're interested in. You could also look for local sports communities. I know here in Vietnam, there's an app specifically for finding sports clubs. And when I tell you, they have sports clubs for everything you can think of, like golf or table tennis, um, of course, pickleball, like boxing, literally any sport that you can think of. The app lets you filter by that sport, and then you can also add like what your experience level is. If you're just like beginning, like super beginner, you can add that to your filters and find a club that would be a fit for you versus like super pro level and like people that are really intense about doing whatever the sport is. You can find your people that way too. So to find apps for your specific destination, a Google search will never fail you. I think just Googling like local sports in wherever you are, and you might be able to find apps or different communities that way as well. Other ways that I have tapped in with community, personally for me here in Vietnam, my church has been a big part of me connecting and finding people that I relate to and that I've made friends that way as well. So if you're here in Ho Chi Minh City, I highly recommend checking out River Church. It's an international church, so English is spoken, but there are people there from literally all around the world. And yeah, it has been a blessing for me to find that community here, and I'm super grateful for it. It has helped make the city feel more like home. And then another way to find friends, meet people that are like minded, would be to go to language exchanges. This is a great way to not only meet other expats and foreigners, but also meet people that are local to the area, which is big key to building community abroad. Like, you don't just want to make friends with expats, you want to find people that you can connect with that are from the place that you're living in. That is a big game changer for making a place feel like home. You can also find language exchanges that are specific to learning the main language at your destination. So I know here I've seen language exchanges and free language classes that are offered in certain cafes, and they have certain events where you can go and practice Vietnamese, learn Vietnamese. um, so yeah, that's a really great way to connect with local community and build up your community in your new home abroad. So, those are all the tips that I wanted to share. Hopefully, this helps to give you a broader perspective of what it looks like to live abroad, not just the highlights, but also the challenges that come along with it and the lifestyle. If there's something else that I didn't touch on and you do live abroad or have heard stories from other people who live abroad that aren't so great, be sure to share them down in the comments below, because I think it's important that we talk about them. Talk about the good and the ugly, like all of it together. If you're looking to make your move abroad soon and want guidance with planning out a strategy for your remote career abroad and making the move, don't forget to check out that link to book a clarity call with me in the description. And be sure to share this video with someone that you know who might find it useful, who needs to de romanticize what living abroad really looks like. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and be sure to check out this video over here because YouTube really thinks you'll like it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ciao.